Hey everyone, I'm Ryan, and I have a pretty rare disorder. I don't feel pain, but I didn't always know this about myself. Let me tell you how it all started. My parents thought I was the most perfect baby in the world. Why? Because I hardly ever cried. I was laughing most of the time and only broke into tears when I was hungry or needed my diaper changed. My parents' friends, who also had babies, were so jealous that my parents could get a full 8 hours of sleep every night. There's this one funny story my dad loves to tell everyone over dinner. When I was a toddler, I was playing in the dirt outside. He heard me laughing uncontrollably, so he came over to see what could possibly be so amusing about a pile of dirt. When he looked at me, he gasped. I was holding a huge scorpion in my hands, just playing with it like it was a teddy bear. He also says I had a giant red mark on my leg where it had stung me. He screamed at me to drop it, then scooped me up and ran into the house. Apparently, I was still laughing the whole time. My parents rushed me to the doctor to check if I was okay, and thankfully I was. But nobody could understand why I wasn't screaming in agony from a scorpion sting. Now, before I continue, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you hit that notification bell for more awesome content just like this. Okay, so I had two older brothers who were always roughhousing and pushing each other around. When I was finally big enough to join their wrestling and boxing games, they included me too. They were always hitting or punching me, but instead of crying, I just hit and punched back even harder. They'd often be the ones to stop the games because they were in so much pain. I just found the whole thing amusing because I honestly felt nothing. When I was about 6, my family and I were at the beach, and my mom accidentally stepped on a sea urchin. She screamed and shouted in pain, then burst into tears. My father tried to pull the spines out, but the more he tried, the more it hurt. I really couldn't understand why it was affecting my mother so much. So I went into the sea, caught another sea urchin, dropped it onto the sand, and jumped right on it. It tickled. I looked at her and said, "Mum, this is fun. Why are you crying?" Her eyes went wide. "Oh my God, Ryan," she said. So there we were, both with sea urchin spines stuck in our feet. I was giggling, and my mom was sobbing. My poor dad had to deal with all of it. He drove us to the hospital, where they helped remove the spikes. For my mother, the process seemed unbearable, but it didn't affect me at all, and I guess that was the moment I finally realized I was a bit different from everyone else. I got the nickname Fearless at school because I was always doing the most outrageous stunts. I'd climb to the top of the monkey bars and just throw myself down, or I'd swing super high and then jump off midair. One time, I even brought a lighter to school and tried to impress a girl by burning my finger. It was all fun for me, but please, I have to warn you, don't try any of this at home or anywhere else. Things started to go wrong when other kids tried to copy my stunts. They'd end up with broken limbs and in a lot of pain. It got so bad that my parents were called in and I was expelled for being a bad influence. At my new school, I was angry about getting in trouble, so I became a bully. I was the most feared kid there. Even the bigger, older boys learned to stay away after I beat them up. They were shocked because while they punched and kicked me, I just laughed. I have to admit, a part of me really loved the attention and the so-called respect. I'd do anything for the thrill. One afternoon, my family went to the zoo. After seeing the penguins and zebras, I got bored. As we got to the lion enclosure, I had an idea. Ryan, no. My mum screamed, but it was too late. I had already jumped in. I started making funny faces at the lions while the crowd yelled for me to get out. People were recording with their phones, but I ignored them. I saw a cute little lion cub and ran over to pick it up. Suddenly, I heard more shouting. "Ryan, look out!" my dad yelled. Before I could turn, the cub's mother, a full-grown lioness, jumped on my back and bit my arm. I just turned around, pried her jaws open with my bare hands, laughed, and hopped out of the enclosure. I was bleeding, but the whole thing didn't bother me at all. By that afternoon, the video had gone viral. Everyone was talking about me. In the weeks that followed, I became so famous that talk show hosts invited me onto their shows. It was all the attention I had ever craved, and even more. As I got into my teenage years, I left the bully reputation behind and channeled my energy into extreme sports, always chasing that same thrill. Growing up, I was all about the thrill. I ran with a crew of tough kids, and we were obsessed with extreme sports. We called ourselves the Daredevils, and every other week we were chasing a new high at mountain biking, paragliding, skydiving, you name it, we did it. But for me, nothing beat cliff diving. That split second of free fall, the rush of air, and then crashing into the sea. It was pure adrenaline. Unlike my friends, I had zero fear. It was like I was invincible. Then came that one afternoon. We were out on the cliffs, just like any other day. I was messing around, making goofy poses at the edge, when I lost my footing. It happened so fast. Instead of hitting the water, I slammed into the rocks below. The next thing I knew, I was in a hospital. The X-rays showed I'd broken both my arm and my leg. But here's the crazy part. I felt completely fine. My bones were broken, but there was no pain. This absolutely baffled the doctors. They could fix me up, sure, but they couldn't understand why I wasn't screaming in agony. So they decided to keep me for observation. They ran one test, then another, and then a whole battery of them. It felt like weeks went by. Finally, they called my parents and me into a meeting room. It was packed with doctors, all of them staring at me like I was some kind of science experiment. The head doctor looked at my parents and dropped a bombshell. He said, "This is something we've never seen before. Your son, Ryan, is incapable of feeling pain." My dad was speechless. What was all he could manage? The doctor continued, "Think about his whole life. There were probably signs. The scorpion sting when he was a baby, how he never cried when his brothers hit him, all those stunts in school. Suddenly, it all started to click for my dad. He remembered all these moments when I should have been hurt, but just wasn't. The doctor's tone got serious. Ryan needs to be extremely careful, he warned. Because he can't feel pain, he constantly puts himself in life-threatening situations, things that would make anyone else think twice. He just does them. That fall from the cliff could have been fatal. Then he turned to me. Our suggestion is that he stops all dangerous sports. Can you just try to be a normal young man for a while? That's when I snapped. I stood up and looked at all of them, these doctors and my own parents, talking about me like I wasn't even there. I don't care what any of you have to say, I said, and walked out, slamming the door behind me. I was furious. How dare they? They wanted to wrap me in bubble wrap and lock me away. I loved my life. I loved the rush, the risks, the feeling of being alive. This diagnosis wasn't a warning sign to me. It was a challenge. They thought telling me I couldn't feel pain would make me more careful, but they were wrong. It just made me feel even more invincible. And I decided right then and there, I wasn't going to let their fear define my life. I was going to live it even harder. The doctor's revelation caused me to feel like I was superior to everyone else. I decided to use my ability to make money. I started making videos while I hurt myself to see if I could get lots of views on YouTube. I did everything I could think of. I stuck needles in my hands, smashed bricks on my head, and one time, I even set myself on fire. People were horrified, but I found it hilarious. I gained more and more views and more followers. When I finally hit 1 million, I felt the greatest sense of accomplishment I had ever felt in my life. I also continued my dangerous stunts, and when I was old enough to drive, I did every single thing I was told not to do in driving school. I also bought a motorbike, which became my favorite thing in the universe. I learned how to do many stunts and of course I did them all without a helmet. This was the worst mistake, and maybe I should have cared and listened to my mum. When she begged me to wear it one night while I was biking through the mountains and testing out some stunts all by myself, my light stopped working. It didn't bother me much, but I decided I should try to head back home. I went speeding through the mountains back to the town. I really enjoyed feeling the breeze through my hair. I didn't think that speeding was a bad idea because these roads were usually clear at night. Suddenly, I saw a bright white light and heard a huge bang. Then everything went black. I woke up to a masked face staring directly at me. I looked around and realized I was in an operating room. I looked at my body and realized I had many cuts all over. The surgeons were trying to stitch me back together and it looked really gross. I didn't feel anything, but just seeing myself like that really upset me. I was given a few sleeping pills, and when I woke up hours later, my parents were sitting by my side. "Oh, Ryan, my love, what have you done to yourself now?" my mum said while wiping the tears off her face. "What do you mean, Mum? I just feel a bit drowsy, but I'm perfectly fine," I said, while trying to sit up, but I couldn't move. I tried and tried again, but nothing worked. What happened to me? I asked. You were in a really horrible accident. You were paralyzed from the waist down, and you might be confined to a wheelchair for the next 3 years, honey, my mum said. But that can't be. I didn't feel anything, I said. Shocked at that moment, the doctor walked in. Although you don't feel anything, you have badly injured yourself. Your body needs time to heal. After 2 or 3 years, we'll get started with it. The doctor told me there's physical therapy to help me walk again, but I'll never be the same. He said, I'm sorry. All I could think was, I should have listened when they told me to be more careful. Regret just washed over me. Now, I have 1 year left of this recovery journey, and I am holding on to hope that I'll be able to stand on my own 2 feet soon. It's a strange feeling. I still can't feel any physical pain, but the humiliation and frustration are overwhelming. I know I should have made better choices. This whole experience has been a massive wake-up call. The moment I get out of this wheelchair, things are going to be different. I'm done seeking attention, and I promise myself I will be so much more careful from now on. Thanks for listening to my story.